Hey guys, so I have a bit of a confession to make. Now, um a lot of this has to do with my motivation and kind of why I was so excited to get the Bolt EV, and why I know it will change my life. But that's my own choosing, right? But if you notice on the trip calendar, I tried to do a comparison with the Volt, but the weather conditions were just so bad that the comparison wouldn't have been that useful as a data point. But this is the typical commute I have for work. Now, even in the Volt, I was typically getting about 6 miles per kilowatt hour for this segment of the route. And then what that allowed me to do, because it was slightly downhill, it allowed me to return to work. So I could do my work commute throughout the week without really using any gasoline in the Volt. So, having the Bolt, though, um, it's not really necessary to do this. So now I'm going to have the chance to drive a different route that I've always wanted to drive, and the Volt could have done it, but it would have just seemed gratuitous, right? So now now I have a chance to do that, and the reasons for this is it all goes back to the fossil fuel industry. It all goes back to using gasoline, and while it's still a necessary evil for our society, I don't think it's necessary for the day to day average person. And that's a lot of my motivation for doing this channel. It's actually beyond just the Bolt EV. It goes more into, or where I plan to go is to start to share with you guys more aspects of my life where I've been able to eliminate fossil fuels completely. And in that regard, I think it's important. And you might say, oh well, what good is it for you to eliminate using 20 gallons of gasoline a month, or maybe another 20 gallons of gasoline a month? So say 40. Well, which would have been my normal usage, and that's why I started to curb some of the things that I had done, and I started to limit my gasoline usage in my driving, which the Bolt EV will let me to start doing again, start living my life a little bit more freely and not have to worry about that. But the reason for it is there's a term called the tragedy of the commons, and it maybe my stopping 40 gallons of gasoline being used isn't much, but if enough other people do, then maybe that eliminates a tanker truck, and then eventually a few more, that eliminates the need for a refinery, and that maybe even eliminates the need for a field to be fracked or something of that nature, or a pipeline to be built. So what we do as individuals does have an impact, uh, and my motivation is to show people that you can you can do away with your one and only gasoline powered car and be fine, even if you can't afford a Tesla at this point. Um, this is the chance to start doing that. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm going, and I'll splice in some videos of the drive when I get to it. Again, I'm kind of limited with my camera to filming only about 12 minutes of high definition at a time, but I'll definitely try to add uh, some commentary on the handling and acceleration and aspects like that when I get there. So, but yeah, that's my mini confession for the day. So, all right, thanks. So it accelerates really quickly, so just keep that in mind. I actually I actually was able to get this car to understeer a little bit. It was a freeway on-ramp, a chicane turn, but it felt different than a normal understeer. It felt like the car was pulling me through the corner a little bit more than like a typical understeer would do. So I could see an all-wheel drive version of this car being monster on the track. We're probably not going to be able to go too fast around these corners. There are a lot of vehicles ahead of us. It's a commute time, so just enjoy the drive. You know, I drive this road when I can, but not all the time. And I would say in-street driving on these tires, I don't know that you'll ever really be pushing the maximum power that this car is capable of. I didn't have it in low. I was expecting to decelerate. One criticism I do have is the regen on demand paddle. I don't like where it's located. I would prefer that it had been on the column, and the reason for that is, and I understand they don't want you to use it when you're driving around a corner, but sometimes you need to come to a stop when you're coming around a corner, and turning on your blinkers isn't going to help you do that. So yeah, I think they missed an opportunity. I really like the paddle shifter style that Mitsubishi used on their Rally Arts and their Lancer Evo MRs, because it's in a fixed position and you always know where it is with your hand. So if you come around this corner, just watch my hands. I mean, I'm 9 and 3, but as I come around this corner, I now have no access to regen on demand. None. So it's kind of I think a lost opportunity. Maybe for a street car it's not a big deal. In an emergency you're going to use your brake pedal anyway, but you know, it is what it is. As you can see though, the commuters here, they tend to try and keep a pretty good clip. But it's a nice drive. I like it. It's a pretty high elevation shift. But I mean, even right now, just cruising uphill using 20-30 kilowatts of power out of 150, you're not coming anywhere near pushing it. So also, I don't know if you heard that, but I'm being buffeted by some pretty healthy winds, and this car seems to handle them just fine. It reminds me of one of those clown punching bags with the weights at the bottom. You have the battery at the base, so the top can catch a lot of air, but it's so light and the center of gravity is so low. I don't think you really have to worry too much about crosswinds. You might have to steer to compensate for them, but I didn't really even notice that. Of course, I've been lucky because all of my winds have been headwinds. Oh, let's see. Good Samaritan. That's a big bump. Yeah, this road only gets really bad if, you know, if there's an accident or something. Clearly you can't go anywhere because it's 2 lanes. But in fair weather conditions like this, it's a fun drive. You get to regenerate power on the way back down. Oh, sweet. Brakes. What are those?